Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with me, Clarice. In this video we are going to be learning how to paint this sort of ranunculus. I'm not sure if it's called Charlotte Burgundy and White Face. Maybe that's what it's called. And yes, it is from the Flower Color Guidebook. And this is on page 314. So if you have the book and you would like to open it up to that page, that would be great. If not, I would suggest maybe just doing a Google search for the name, which is Ranunculus Charlotte Burgundy and White, and go from there. Otherwise, you can just watch this video and follow along as I instruct. Okay, so to begin, I am tell you what the supplies I am using. I am using my watercolor paper 100% by Zen Art Supplies, and this is 8 by 8 inches. For colors, I'm using my Cute Little Colors by KMS Watercolor, and let's see, I really like the, what's it called? Christmas Carol, which has a little bit of a shimmer, and I think that would be great for the light pink areas. And I also really like I'm possibly going to be using, here we go, Venetian Red, which is like a reddish brown for the darker areas. And I'm also going to keep Strawberry handy. And then for the greens, I do like the sage, but I will mix the sage with a little bit of my colors from White Nights, and I think I'm definitely going to be mixing a little bit of the Venetian Red with some purple, and let's just see what we come up with. By purple I mean violet, because we do need these centers to be nice and dark, just like that there. All right, okay, so here we go. Forgot to mention my brushes. I am going to be using the Silver Velvet number 4 and then the Princeton Neptune Oval 1/2 inch. And that's simply, if you break it down, to get the nice organic shapes for our petals, and then we use the smaller brush to go in and add some nice details over there. All right, I'm also keeping the Silver Black Velvet number 8 on the side just in case I need it. I've got water ready, and so I think we're ready to begin mixing our colors. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing our lightest color, which is going to be like this nice beautiful pink. And I will use I'm going to use the number 4 to mix that, and we're using Christmas Carol. So there we go. I'm just going to mix that in. I know I had some sort of pinky hue on here previously, but that's okay. I'm not going to be overly picky about that. I'm just going to leave that as is. And just make sure I've got enough water in my mixing here, because I want the consistency to be about 20-80, 80-20. This way we get a nice pink, light pinkish sort of wash happening, and then we can go in with the small brush and add more details. All right, so I've got that handy. Let's just get a little bit of this mixture in. So I'm getting more of that pink, and I want to mix a little bit of this strawberry in here. It's a bit of a bright color, so maybe this might not work. So what if we do this pink, and I'm going to mix that over here. And just a little bit of this Venetian Red. Yeah, this works better. It's not perfect, but it'll work, and I'm not looking for perfection here. As long as the colors are fairly similar, I think I'm okay. All right, so we're going in with our oval brush, and You guys might want to practice these strokes before. I'll leave that up to you. But today we're going to go right into this. So I'm getting some of that color. My brush is nice and damp. Wow, look at that. This brush soaks in all the color real quick. So I'm getting more water on here just so it's nice and damp. Okay, and here we go. We are starting off with doing these loose petals. So you can see there's a ton of them in the background. We'll leave the center sort of open for our darker bits, and then we'll just start off with the background petals, side, and then the ones that are sort of falling forward. Okay, so here we go. So I just move things around so I have better access to the sheet without the camera in the way. And here we go. I have my color on my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and we're mimicking this flower right there. So we're starting off with the background petals, and with the tip of my brush I'm just going to do these light strokes and have this full curtain of pink, almost like a light pink coming down. And I'm kind of wishy-washy, adding a little bit of extra color on my brush and then going in and adding it to the sheet so it gives me a little bit of a different color of pink. And notice the zigzags at the bottom here. And then the very loosey sort of strokes. Now I'm going to go in with the light brush just so you can see better here. Getting the color that I have, and I'm adding this just at the tips and then pulling downward because we've got that nice little detail happening here. And we want to do this before things dry up. And so that's why we are sort of lightly going in and adding a couple of strokes here and there. While this is still damp, it'll give us a nice, beautiful sort of blend. And that's the whole purpose. And then if some of them are not blending in as well, you just want to go ahead and take maybe another brush, and you can always dampen it some more. So like if we've got this brush, just go in and dampen. Okay, and then we go back and do more of these petals to kind of finish things off. So let's do another one. We've got that nice center here. Let's do another one happening on this end. This is a tad darker, and I'm adding a couple of strokes into those background petals to kind of give it that nice pink hue. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, we're going to continue and add another kind of isolated stroke here. You can see it's a little bit lighter. And then we've got this one curving, but before that let's do the bottom petal. And I'm pushing all the color down to the center of this. Dampening, getting more water. Let's do our final sort of petal this way. And then going in with this guy, we just want to get in a little bit of detailing happening just in and around here. And I'm doing that kind of sporadically to kind of indicate the folds in our petals here. And it's a very, very loose style, and so we're not wholly going to obsess over things. Like this petal over here has a little bit of the folds happening here, so I'm just going in and lightly adding that. I'm going to add a little bit of darker hue kind of pulling out from here, going outward, blending in nicely. I'm going to add a little bit of a frill here to this petal and a couple of like strokes within the pink to kind of really make it whole. Same thing over here. I'm just adding a little bit of detail, very kind of loosely, almost kind of outlining it. And now once we have that, we've got a good enough base that we can begin or proceed with doing the center. I do want to do the folded leaf. And again, you don't have to do it if you don't want to sort of fix or change what we have, but I'm just going to do something like this. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that darker color and just add it to the bottom here, so it gives me a little bit of a shadow effect almost. And maybe even just take the color directly from the color cake. Where's my color? Here it is. Just kind of add it. And it'll tie in because when we're going in the center, we're going to be using most of these colors there anyways. So it's okay. And then we'll even probably highlight a couple here and there, like within the petals. So while the loose style is very loose and you're not looking for, we don't have to sort of do everything perfectly, there is quite a bit of detailing involved as well that you typically kind of come across when you're a little more comfortable with the loose strokes and such. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and add some more for the center. So let's mix a little bit of that color. Before we do that, I'm going to get a little bit of the pink and keep that ready on my number 4. So what I've also done is I've mixed a little bit of Madder Lake Red into the colors that I've been using by KMS. Sorry, which is the Venetian Red and the Strawberry, was it? Sorry, Christmas Carol. And I want that nice darker hue. That's why I went with the Madder Lake Red. And I'm using my number 8. And now this is where a little more detailing happens. And I'm just going to zoom in a bit for that. So here we go. As you can see from this flower over here to the side, we've got a lot of these details. So using the tip of my brush, I'm going to go ahead and add these cute little, I know my descriptions are very interesting. These little strokes, kind of just using the tip of my brush to kind of highlight these inner details. And then taking the next brush, dipping the tip of it in water, I'm just going to sort of alternate and spread out the color. Maybe get a little bit of that color on the brush itself and add these cute, thin strokes in a very whimsical sort of manner. And by whimsical, I mean like you're going in using the tip of your brush and you're doing something like this. And then you're kind of alternating as well so you can get a good enough mixture between the two. So I'm going to get some of that added in, get some of the pink and just kind of blend it in with this, right? And this shading, so to speak, is what sort of gives it more definition. So here we go, I'm going in with the pink. I'm going to sort of blend this out. And then before I do that, I just want to make this a little more whimsical looking. So I'm just going to add these cute little strokes that I'm doing just with the tip of the brush. And notice I'm kind of leaving the page as I do these strokes to kind of give it that inner loose detail, so like light and dark strokes, leaving white space. And then let's just close this one up. This one's kind of flopped over. And then moving back to this, we're going to get some of the lighter pink and just add, I had the lighter pink over here, and just add a couple of strokes, same sort of manner, kind of almost like a comma stroke, but also trying to add that movement. So maybe get even more of the pink to really highlight how dark these pinks are and to really give that nice layered effect happening. So again, you see how the center is just popping out. Okay, so now this looks a little bit awkward. So we're just going to go ahead and add a couple of little tiny frill kind of strokes at the top. And then smoothen out some of these details. So taking my number 4, I just added those strokes in, so I'm just smoothing out the color so that this petal here stands out just a little bit more than the rest. So you can see that. All right, so now that we've done that, let's just do the center and then we're done. So for the center, I didn't mention this, but it's very dark and black. So we're gonna use a black, and I'm just gonna take that directly from my White Nights, and using my number 4, we're just gonna go ahead and add, not fill it up really, but it's got to be like a little bit of a mound, like a cone-shaped center. So it's a little bit upward, and I'm leaving a little bit of white space in there, so I'm just kind of dotting all around. And then sort of filling up so that the dark bits touch most of the petals. And I'll add a little bit more pink, or maybe even leave that as white over there. This needs to be just a bit more higher to get that, and there we go, we've got that beautiful flower. Now, because this is loose and this might have been a slightly trickier video, you can either leave this like this, and this is a great start, you can just practice. And then based on the techniques I've shown you here, just go ahead and try and do this one. Or you can go in and add a little darker, a couple of darker details using your number 4 just to highlight some of these frills and hills in the flower. But for the sake of the length of this video, I am going to leave this as is. And if I decide to highlight that, I will probably do that a bit later. We're going to move on to the stem. And I'm using the sage. And I'm going to mix the sage with some leftover green, just because I want this to be a lot darker. And again, using my number 4, I'm going to go ahead and just do one swoop to get a nice, beautiful little, I'm going to add a little bit of green in the center there too. There's a couple of green highlights happening on the flower there. And here we go. I know this is like smack dab in the center, so our stem would just be coming that way. But I'll do it more coming from here. And then dipping the tip of my brush in water to get a lighter hue. I'm kind of thickening this stem up, but also leaving a little bit of white space in between. Not fully touching it all the way up. And that is that. So that's the Ranunculus, the Charlotte Ranunculus. Let me know, guys, what you thought. Please make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you tag me in your work so I can see exactly how it's turned out. The colors are not exactly the same, but I'll already mention that in the beginning. So feel free to try and experiment with your own colors if you're just trying to get the feel of watercolor or trying to do a more fluffier, looser looking floral. And yeah, that's it. So if you like this video, please make sure you hit that like button and tag, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll chat soon. Bye.